It's Natasha and
Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 230th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we are asking a really important question, which is plaguing the whole of the United States, which is what's really going on with the Great Resignation. But before we dive deep into the subject, a couple of things to cover. First, have you downloaded the episode on WokeNFree.com through the Podbean app? If not, please do so, because that's how you're able to join the conversation every WokeNFree Wednesday, and we want you guys to join in, so make sure you do that. Now, if you catch podcasts on a device where you cannot download another app, then we just ask that you go to WokeNFree.com, click on the Listen tab, and follow and subscribe to our show on any of the following platforms that we're on: iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Amazon. Guys, it's a WokeNFree world, so make sure you get there. Now, also on WokeNFree.com, if you haven't already done that, please do so, which is click and subscribe to follow the show, and it's going to take you through the Podbean app, so we'd love for that love there. And for social, you can reach us on Facebook, Instagram, right, KJ? Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn at WokeNFree. And if you have 90 seconds, yes, you have 90 seconds because it's a pandemic, please review the show. So where do you do that? Any place you'd like to. We'd love more reviews on iTunes. 5 stars. Thank you very much. But you can review us where possible on the Listen tab on WokeNFree.com.
Before we start the conversation, we'd like to share a little bit about ourselves. This week, we're asking, would you rather talk like SpongeBob or Woody?
SpongeBob's SquarePants is everything. I don't necessarily really love this question, but between those two options, I'm going to go with SpongeBob.
Wow, I mean, it's not about love. It's about choices. That shouldn't even be a
That's the
thing
choice I make. And you?
to say. That's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree, because to me, Woody is just a plain cowboy, so there's nothing really special about talking like Woody. You're just talking like a cowboy. But SpongeBob has a weird voice, so I guess I would take that ability rather than Woody. I think anybody could come up with their own Western type voice. Mm-hmm. That's something that people could resign over, being a cowboy voice.
You're a mess.
But instead of talking about that, we probably should ask, what is the Great Resignation all about?
You're a hot mess. So on computerworld.com, in October of last year, 2021, 4.1 million U.S. workers quit their jobs. And that was provided by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics data. And then on CNBC, they stated that workers quit their jobs in record numbers in November of 2021, which the level surged to 4.5 million for the month. And that seems really, really, really interesting and really challenging, because I think this is a phenomenon that hasn't necessarily been seen before, or maybe this multitude. So this is being called the Great Resignation because workers have been leaving their positions partly in response to, and this is stated on CNBC, that they're leaving their positions partly in response to increased mobility in the labor market as job opens strongly outnumber those looking for work. And so essentially the Great Resignation is a bunch of folks quitting their jobs, and employers are left pretty much like in a tailspin, wondering how they're going to replace their workers in sufficient time to keep up with the demands of their own businesses. And it's the Great Resignation because of the volume of folks that are leaving their jobs in like record numbers.
Yeah, I saw this CBS article that further talked about it, and what they did is they talked to LinkedIn, and what they found is who's leaving the job is actually the most compelling. Millions of baby boomers are retiring early, but also millions of Gen Z workers, which are people in their teens and early 20s, they're actually retiring they're leaving their jobs in great numbers.
Wow.
Many more women than men were actually leaving their jobs as well. And all the highest quit rate since the government started keeping track 2 decades ago. So
wow.
This is why it's called the Great Resignation, because no other time has this many people left their jobs in this kind of numbers since they've been recording this.
That's crazy.
It's definitely a phenomenon that's happening.
Yeah, and now I'm seeing some rhetoric around how it's like the great, opportunity or the great re-innovation. Like, I think people are trying to change it into the prospect of, yes, a lot of people are quitting, but now it's really a really interesting opportunity for companies to be more innovative and to offer higher wages and to offer better benefits and to offer more remote working. So it's going to be interesting to see what's kind of really going on there. But do you think people are just quitting? Like, why do you think people are really quitting? Is it just COVID? Is it retirement? Is it more money? Like, what do you think it's attributed to, or all of the above?
Well, what's really going on with the Great Resignation, according to this LinkedIn article, they listed some reasons, and we'll start with, they said burnout from being overworked. People are just tired from having too much on their plate. There's unfair treatment at work for multitudes of reasons. There now is a work from home culture, so the popularity of having a hybrid workplace increased, and people having that opportunity taken away has given them reason to leave their job. There's the rise of freelancing, which it's forecasted that 86.5 million workers in the U.S. will be freelancers in the next 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And there's this thing called the anti-work movement. And there's actually a Reddit community of 1.6 million members, and they reject the traditional norms of work and support those who experience workplace mistreatment.
Oh, gosh.
And that's due to insufficient benefits, low compensation, and lack of well-being support.
So
that's a new thing
folks, like, happily on government assistance then? Or, because we need money to live, so.
Yeah, but they might be artists and stuff and doing things like that.
Like non-traditional workers in the workplace. Gotcha. Okay. So that's interesting. Similarly, another source to cite here would be CNBC. They say that there's, this side, the Great Resignation doesn't look like it's going to be like ending that much sooner than employers would probably like it to be. And there's a lot of different reasons, whether it's burnout from COVID or just kind of overworked and underpaid type of rhetoric, but also, the new opportunities with rising pay. Now employers are like, oh man, we really got to hire people. So, people are quitting because if they can make an extra $2, $5, $10 an hour, then that is very meaningful for their household. And you can't even fault people for that because a livable wage in this country is challenging to get in certain industries. So
in many industries.
Exactly. So I personally think that until employers reconcile the fact that they probably have been underpaying and that certain levels of companies probably like have to get paid less, like certain bonuses probably have to be cut in half, and that money needs to be funneled into the actual workers of companies, then I don't know if we're really going to make headway here, because I think the ultimate bottom line is that people need more money, because if someone's given a lot more money and also they have a culture that they're working at where they feel seen and heard and they feel appreciated, I think it's a lot easier for that person to rationalize staying in their job than quitting for an extra $2.50 an hour,
Yeah, that's true.
So predictions, what do you think is going to happen for the labor market?
I predict that in the future, the pandemic that we're in currently, it'll actually be an endemic. And that's to say that the virus, it'll be with us to stay like other flu viruses.
Okay.
And then at that point, I think the labor market, it's going to level off because I think more people will start to enter the market due to less fear of getting sick, because that's another reason that some people aren't working, is because a lot of these work demands you to be in person, and that people don't want to be in person because there's a chance of them getting sick and bringing that to other people, bringing that sickness home. So
yeah,
I think once that the pandemic is kind of over with, then people will be like, well, you know what, I can go back to work now. It's safe. So I think the labor market won't be as like crazy as it is today, but I think there will still be a lot of people that tend to do like different sorts of jobs as that anti-work movement Reddit community that probably will grow a bit in the future, actually.
I mean, to be a millionaire, we've talked about this on kind of wealth abundance and strategies, which is you do need to have multiple streams of income. So again, employers need to be more flexible with employees and allow people to work multiple jobs, have side businesses, because ultimately, unless you are working a job that pays you $1 million a year, then you are not going to be a millionaire with just your day job. So you've got to implore having opportunities that allow you to make more income. And so I agree with you. I think COVID is something that we're going to learn to live with, and it's going to hopefully settle, level off than how it's still kind of spiking, and it's still really challenging for our nation and globally, as well as I predict that we're going to have more and more remote roles. So that opens up the opportunity for diverse workers, diverse talent, and more flexible work structures. And then, also increased opportunities, because even if we are going to continue to be talking about COVID for the rest of our lives in the next 10 years or something like that, ultimately, wouldn't that lend for more roles and opportunities within the health and medical industry and industries that touch it? I would think so.
Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah.
That's possible. I mean, there could be more jobs open for producing computer chips. I mean, that could happen too. 'Cause that's needed, right? It's like what happened with the toilet paper. We had a shortage. Now we have like an overage of toilet paper made because they made too much.
That's a shame.
So it's probably going to happen once, once the pandemic slows down. I think that's going to happen with the computer chips probably.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the prices will fall off or something. I don't know.
Okay. Interesting.
Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Wilfred worked at a large fast food chain that shut down in-person dining and furloughed 50% of its workforce during the height of the pandemic. He was part of those chosen. Once things started to get better, they opened back up and told him to report to work. Wilfred decided not to because he was making more money while not at work. Was this a good decision?
You know what, Camille? We have a shady baby, and you're a shady husband.
How am I shady? How could I be shady when I'm just telling you about the scenario? I never get this. Why do I always get flack? That doesn't make sense.
Because of what you declare as the scenario.
Oh, just because the words was written?
Correct.
I freaking just was inspired by
I wonder
the universe.
how you were inspired.
That's funny. You put that right on me. I can't even take all the blame for this, because I've received this.
Daddy.
This is not something that just came to me.
KJ is smiling
from my own
as
brain.
we speak. You know what? Okay. So with this, I have one question. Is Wilfred making more money not working through governmental assistance?
Yeah. You can't. Why did you even need that? Though that's why I don't know. Why did you care about that?
I wanted to put that out there. Though I just wanted that to just be in the ether.
Oh, that's funny. You had to ask that.
Yeah. Excellent.
That's so
work.
funny.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, unless Wilfred found a way to be independently wealthy.
Oh, okay.
Or was it through NFTs or you
thought it was
trying to figure
all
out.
Right. So that's funny.
If this is through governmental support, then ultimately that is not sustainable for everyone in the nation. For the government just to pay us all to sit and look at each other. So
well, you have to twiddle your thumbs too.
Exactly, and eat bonbons.
Yeah. See,
because that's not a sustainable method, then that is not something I prescribe to, because even if you don't want to get back into your industry, it doesn't mean that there's not a place for you in the labor market as a whole. So I would say Wilfred should look into other opportunities to potentially get back into work. Now, if Wilfred, to your earlier point in the episode, is concerned about health concerns with COVID and working, then maybe look into remote work and can be on governmental assistance until Wilfred finds the ideal situation that it allows Wilfred to work in a space where they feel safe and the person feels comfortable working. But living off the government is not a sustainable plan for Wilfred or the rest of us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand the decision not to go back to work, but in long term, it probably is not going to work out, because I think they're going to cut the funding that they're giving during the pandemic. So
nice.
That's why that's not gonna work out forever. Okay. So he's gonna have to eventually do something, and I don't think this was the best choice. Maybe he should be looking for another job if he doesn't like the job that that came back online, or he should ask them like, "Can I get a sign-on bonus or something?" Because a lot of jobs are doing that too. So he could actually get paid. He could do some negotiating actually now. So
that's true.
I think that might be a better option. Negotiate with the job and see if you can get more money. Scenario 2. Hazel was a bartender for 3 years until her employer was forced to use delivery and takeout due to government ordinances. During her time off, she started to sell homemade apple pies around her neighborhood. She really enjoyed seeing the pleasant reviews left by all her customers. Now that the bars are offering sign-on bonuses, should Hazel go back to bartending?
Oh, interesting. So, ultimately, I would say Hazel should do both. I think that continuing this business where she's making these pies, right? I think these apple pies, might turn into something. So I wouldn't want her to give that up just because she now has the opportunity to go back to her traditional day job. She should continue to do both. And hopefully for her case, if she sells her or is more successful financially speaking with the apple pies, then maybe she now has a new venture, a new opportunity for the rest of her life.
So she should go back to bartending.
Do both. Don't stop.
Wow, okay. That's an interesting one.
Hustle. Let's grind it out.
That's a good point. That's good advice to do both because you don't have to do one or the other. You can just do both. Yep. I'd say, that's, I agree. She could definitely do both. And just make sure she keeps up with doing her thing that she likes doing because, not everybody gets that sort of opportunity. They find something that's fun to do and see that they're good at it. So I think she should definitely continue making the pies and go and don't leave that money on the table since they're giving the sign-on bonus. So that's a good idea.
Exactly.
Scenario 3. Beulah is a manager of a large retailer. She has worked this position for the past 12 years, but feels she is overworked, underpaid, and her suggestions are overlooked. Is this a good time for her to resign?
Oh, wow. So, man. Beulah, I would say whenever you don't feel like whatever situation you're in is serving you anymore, then you owe it to yourself to explore options. So is it an automatic yes, go quit? Most likely, because ultimately burnout can lead to physical, mental, and ailments that is not necessary. And given that there are new opportunities to explore during this labor market, I would say Beulah, she deserves to start a new chapter where she can be happier than the current torment she's in.
Okay.
Hadn't you?
Yeah, I agree. To me, it is a good time to resign, only because there's new remote opportunities that she could look into as well. So maybe she can do remote management or something similar to that, and also get the pay that she deserves, because it doesn't make sense to do this job just because you've been doing it for 12 years and you don't think you're being treated fairly. I think you can move on and be happy and find something better.
Yeah, she can consult.
Don't just stick to what you've been doing just because that's all you know. Definitely, you can go out there and see what else there is.
Now, it looks like we are at that time again, where it is coming to the end of our 230th episode of WokeNFree. Quite the episode discussing what's really going on with the Great Resignation. KJ agrees. Khalil, what should folks do now?
They know they have to come back next week for the new WokeNFree Wednesday episode. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
Absolutely. And for those who are interested in being a guest or sharing their story, definitely hit us up on our contact us page at WokeNFree.com. That's WokenFree.com. For social, you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Pinterest at WokenFree. And then for collaborations and sponsorships, again, our contact us page at WokenFree.com is the best way to reach us.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do. Share the episode and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokeNFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokeNFree is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Until next time.